Hi, Mr. Terry. Thank you for joining us here at Peer Justice virtually.
No problem. No problem at all.
I'm glad that you can be with us today. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear him?
Yes, sir. Not a problem.
Great, great, great. So let me just explain to you briefly before we start the interview what's going on today. Peer Justice is a nonprofit organization here in Houston, Harris County. It was founded as a 501c3 back in 2017. And so our three pillars are racial justice, economic justice, and criminal justice reform. Of course, you know me. My name is Joshua Sams, and I'm the police accountability representative here at Pure Justice, handling cases such as yours that we're going to talk about. And so basically, I'm collecting stories, right, of recent occurrences with police misconduct, individuals like yourself who have had misconduct, brutality, excessive force, wrongful arrest, those type of things, so that we can put together a package of videos to present to the powers that be, i.e. Commissioner's Court, the Sheriff's Office, Police Chief, the Mayor, et cetera. So that's what we're doing, just to give you an overview. I don't expect that this would take more than 10 or 15 minutes or so. If it does go over, that's fine. So, Mr. Terry, would you please state your full name and spell your name, please, for us?
Rodney Simon Terry, Rodney, S as in Sam, IMON, Terry, TERRY.
Okay. And today's date is September the 29th, 2022, and the time is 12:07. Okay, so welcome again, Mr. Terry. Thank you for your valor and your bravery for sharing your story on recording. So would you please give us a little background and tell us when this event happened, when this happened exactly?
Well, the particular event, I guess you weren't recording before, but I was explaining an event that happened about 11 or 12 years ago. And it's simply not it's definitely not the most recent event, but it's definitely the most heinous event that I've ever encountered, because it involved me losing a child that I never got to meet, never got to have. And it also involves someone else getting incarcerated simply by knowing me, simply by being in the car with me.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that, Simon. Or do you prefer Rodney or Simon or Mr. Terry?
It doesn't matter. I go by Simon in my day-to-day walk, but I'll answer to anything.
Sure. I'm really sorry to hear about that. That's a terrible, and we haven't even gotten into the story yet, and I'm already kind of bothered by the fact that you said that you weren't even able to meet your child, and so many people are trying to have a child these days. That's kind of hard. So I know this is probably going to be a little hard for you, sir. Do you mind sharing with us that story, if you can, as much detail as possible?
Well, yeah, I'll try to be as detailed as possible, and
as much as you feel comfortable. As much as you feel comfortable with. I mean, I know this
I'm a performing poet and artist. And at the time, the mother of my first child, we went on to still have a child, because one thing about it, if God has something in mind, no force on earth can take that away. However, the mother of my first child, we were out celebrating after an event where I just performed. I had a very good performance. Everything about that night was good up until the point that we were met by Houston Police Department, and they pulled me over. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I had a basic warrant for basic criminal traffic court. That's a tongue twister to say 5 times fast. However, I wasn't wanted for anything heinous or anything. I simply had some unpaid traffic tickets that I did not know about. However, the way they handled me was in such a way where I was yanked out at gunpoint out of the car. I was thrown against the car. And being that I had dealt with police before, I was very compliant because I did not want to get shot. So I was like, hey, whatever you guys want to do, I don't know what this is about. Go ahead, slam me against the car as much as you want. I'm making jokes at this point because, as stated, up until that point in the night, it had been a great night. However, the passenger with me, she was what we in the street life would describe as a square. She had never had a criminal record before, never had any interactions with the police department before. So her natural reaction was like, why are you treating him like that? Why are you slamming against the hood? What did he do? Because she did not know me to be a violent criminal at all. So their attitude was, shut up unless you want some of this too. And being that she was what's known as a square, she had a very good job at that point. She did not react too fondly to being spoken to by the police like that. So they ended up yanking her out of the car and throwing her on her belly, and she was taken to jail for failure to ID. Now the problem with that charge is being that she had her birth certificate on her at the time and she had her social security. But of course, they didn't let her get to that because all of those documents were located in her glove box. And of course, once she went to court and a judge got to see that case, the case was immediately dismissed. However, there's an old saying amongst crooked cops, especially in the HPD, is that, yeah, you might beat the rap, but you ain't going to beat the ride. So she did not beat the ride. She still had to go and be in jail, and she was in the city jail. And unfortunately, she had a miscarriage in jail. The only thing I have to prove that is the fact that she was pregnant. We had a pregnancy test that let us know she was pregnant, and there was a very bloody tampon, because they did give her some tampons after a while. After she would not stop bleeding in jail, they said, well, maybe you're just on your cycle, and they gave her some tampons, and she saved them for a while, but she got rid of them because that's just too hard of a reminder to save, is that there's no blood deeper and darker than the blood of an aborted fetus. It was definitely not period blood on those tampons, or not tampon, but maxi pads. It was pads that they gave her in jail. They don't have the tampons, but they have the pads. And she bled out, and you could tell by looking at the blood that it was definitely not period blood. So I don't really know what more to say about that. I'm grateful to God that we were able to go on and have a child after that. However, that type of trauma never goes away. Knowing that the police took something from you such as that, and never knowing who that child could have been. And we did press charges. We went to the internal affairs development process, and they basically just gave us a notice saying that we have found misconduct. We've investigated your situation and we have found misconduct. And people involved in the legal system said, okay, you got the right thing. Now you need to take that and you need to go on and sue them. But at that point, she didn't want to pursue anything any further, and she had lost the child. So I didn't want to make her like saying, hey, we can get some money out of this. We need to keep going with this. She wanted to leave it alone. She didn't want to talk about it anymore. So consequently, I left it alone.
Man,
but there was an internal affairs report found. We went to the building downtown. They put us in different rooms, and they asked us multiple questions as if we were lying, but we both pretty much had the same story, even separated in different rooms. And the officer that threw her down, we both picked him out of a lineup. They showed us a multiple lineup of many different police officers, and we both picked him out. And the lady did end up admitting, yeah, we've had some other incidents of misconduct with this particular officer before. So we both picked the same officer out of the lineup in the internal affairs division, and they basically gave us a letter saying, we have found that misconduct was involved. We're very sorry. And that was the extent of that.
That's a tough one. I've heard a lot of stories, Mr. Simon, and that's one that really kind of hit some nerves for me. I'm sorry that you had to experience that as well as your partner. I am glad to hear that you were able to conceive a child together. That is good news. To look at the silver lining, but that is such a common occurrence that happens to people who aren't pregnant, men, especially Black men, and it shouldn't happen to any person.
And then the feeling of being locked up, even though it was city tickets, I ended up having to sit a week, but I was able to talk to her within that week, and she told me what happened. So having to sit for an entire week knowing that, and I don't even know what my actions were. I guess unpaid tickets led to my child being aborted. I guess that's what you pay for, unpaid tickets. You pay your tickets so your unborn kid might be hurt, you know. And that,
And
but I had.
I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, I think I may know the answer, but is there a reason why you didn't pay your tickets?
Oh yeah, socioeconomic reasons. I didn't have the money,
That's
and
what I didn't want to,
and
yeah.
I was thinking from a perspective of, well, if and when they do catch up to me, I'll just sit the tickets out like I did a week, and it'll be all good. I never realized and put four and four together that my actions might lead to someone else being hurt. I never looked at it like that. I just looked at it like, oh, well, yeah, I know I have these unpaid tickets. I'll pay them when I get around to it or when they catch me, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but brutality comes in many forms and many ways that we can't always see from the people who are supposed to protect us, the police and law enforcement. Where did this happen? You said it was HPD who arrested you
Correct.
guys.
This happened on the southwest side of Houston, and we were taking the Houston City Jail. That's who I owed my tickets with, because being that I've had so many interactions with them, there's definitely a difference between city tickets and county tickets. It's two different people you have to pay, and two different jails you'll go to, and it's obvious. It's obvious from the horrid conditions of the Houston City Jail. They've run out of money a long time ago. So they try to get money any way possible, but there's a difference between the city jail and the county jail.
When you said the conditions at the city jail, what did you experience at this? Like, what were the?
Oh man, it's just horrible. From the food you get to the conditions you're given to the fact that you can't really make a phone call to even call any of your loved ones. You're not able to make a free call until you get to the county. So what it leads to is most people that end up arrested in the Houston City Jail, you end up with a tank full of people saying, hurry up and take me to the county so I can make a phone call.
Wow. And
yeah,
so,
you can't even there's no free phone calls even allowed. If you don't have a collect number you can call from the Houston City Jail, you have to wait until you get to the county to even make your free phone call.
But what I'm hearing, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm also hearing, Mr. Terry Simon, is that you're saying that people are sitting in jail longer than they need to be sitting in jail because they can't not only pay whatever it is that they need to pay to get out, a bail or the ticket value, but they can't even make a phone call to someone who can come on their behalf.
And that process sometimes can last up to a week.
Wow.
From transferred from, so you can be from the time you are taken into custody to the time you're able to call someone for free can be a week's time, and that's usually the normal rate.
I remember you saying that this happened about 11 years ago. I wanted to share some good news with you that you may be thankful to hear, and that is that Pure Justice has been on the front line for bail reform in Harris County. Actually, Harris County is one of the first counties in the entire nation, United States, to revamp and reform free trial detention. And so we're focusing on pretrial release for anything that's nonviolent, right? And so in your situation, the traffic tickets that you talked about, that's nonviolent. And to keep someone detained without even able to reach their loved ones for more than 24 hours, to not allow them, to be bailed out or even at their own recognizance is wrong. But I wanted to let you know that since 2019, that's changed. In Harris County, people aren't staying in jail longer than 24, 48 hours for nonviolent misdemeanor offenses, just so that you know. And that's in the work of the Commissioner's Court, specifically Rodney Ellis, Pure Justice, and Civil Rights Court from DC. So I just wanted to plug that in there for you. So how you shared a little bit about the impact of the mental stress and anguish of this. Would you share a little bit about how do you feel now when you're in Houston and you see police riding near you or around you from that incident? How do you feel now? You feel comfortable calling the police if you need help? Do you feel comfortable?
Oh no, not at all. I would much rather die and take my chances with the criminals, because even with the nature of how police work, in my experience, they've never stopped a murder. They'll come and clean up the bodies of a murder, but they can't stop anything. And they know that, and they'll tell you that. I just had an incident recently where I was coming from Dallas, and I'm very thankful because the Dallas police, they helped me ride around and find my phone. But I had an incident where I had to run to the bathroom. I shouldn't have been eating the seafood, and I had to run to the bathroom, and me taking my pants off too fast made my phone fly out of my pants and fell under the stall, and somebody grabbed it quickly. And I was able to use the Find My iPhone app. And I know that things are changing in my life because I was riding around in the front seat of the police car with the officer. We rode around and we found the phone that I'm talking to you on now. So things are changing. There
Yeah.
are good officers out there, and he was like, I'm just glad I got to help you, because usually we wouldn't have found that. But you know, the officer helped
that
me
is a
and he
good
drove me
story.
around.
And I believe in balance. I believe in balance. I don't know if helping a young man find his phone is the equivalent to aborting a child, but I do want to be balanced and also to do give good light and give good comments to the cops when they do good things too. So I'm not one of those people who are going to say, oh, they're all evil, we need to get rid of every single one of them. You know, my view.
And it still had to do with a different jurisdiction. You're dealing with a
Harris County. Yeah, we're focusing on HPD in Harris County, specifically HPD. So I do appreciate you sharing that good story, because like I said, good cops don't get enough highlight. But right now we want to focus on the misconduct that they've done in Harris County and Houston. What would you like to be done? I mean, you said that you did pursue a complaint with Internal Affairs. Wow. They sent you a letter.
Wow.
What would you like to be done about this?
I think you guys are on the right track. You're doing the right thing, making sure that socioeconomic conditions are not a factor that keep people in jail.
Okay. Good. Well, continue to think about that. I don't want you to be, grabbed by the trauma of it, but think about what could bring you resolve, your partner resolve. So again, Mr. Simon, I'm so sorry that this has happened to you and your partner. What would you like to be done about this moving forward?
I think I commend Pure Justice as a league. I think that you're doing and taking the necessary steps that need to take place, because what I'd like to see is that nobody who's under certain socioeconomic conditions have to be subjected to being treated like a criminal.
Yeah.
Just because you don't have enough money to pay a fine does not mean that you should be treated like a hardened criminal and or placed in the same vicinity with hardened criminals.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mr. Rodney, Simon Terry, for sharing your life experience with us. I know it is.
Yes, sir. It was therapeutic to even talk to somebody who would listen, because generally what tends to happen in a situation like this is the first thing people will say, well, why was you riding around with unpaid tickets? Why was you behind the wheel? You know you shouldn't have been behind the wheel. Why was you even out? We tend to put it back on ourselves when we're made to be subject to the abuse that takes place. We lash out towards each other and say, well, what were you doing wrong to even make the police look at you in the first place? And no one wants to address the fact that, hey, this would not have happened in an affluent white neighborhood with a little boy named Tommy or something.
Yeah. Well, at Pure Justice, the way we tend to focus in those three elements that we work in, on economic justice, racial justice, and criminal justice, we try not to racialize everything. If you look at the inmates that are in the county jail in Harris County, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the colorized preference of those who they arrest and put.
And a strange thing that I've witnessed, you might want to, this might not be something Pure Justice is into or not, but one thing I noticed, when you look on an inmate's band, it has a racial classification. And I've seen plenty of what we call essays, people who don't speak a lick of English, and they're categorized as white.
Yeah.
so that when they do the numbers, they can say, oh, we're locking up white people too. But no, a lot of those people that they have classified as white are indeed not white at all, have never spoken English in their life.
That's a great point, Mr. Terry. That's a great point in terms of statistics and demographics. Yeah, we're looking into it. We're holding them accountable. But that's what it's all about. And the police misconduct and police accountability is all about public safety, right? When you over police an area or when you over police a racial group, of course you're going to find something. Of course you're going to see something that you can state, oh, that's a criminal or they broke the law. If you do that,
right,
the same magnifying glass and you go to other neighborhoods, yes, you will probably find crime and criminal activity there as well. So we're on the ground. We're the boots on the ground. We appreciate and thank you for participating in this interview. We're going to do our best to put together something that will make you proud and will to help alleviate this police misconduct in our community. Thank you so much. And if you get a chance, just check out our website, purejustice.org. Keep in touch with us, and we'd like to have you at our next general meeting.
Hey, yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you, sir. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
You as well. Thank you. God bless.